So picture this. You're on a road trip through rural America in your EV, traveling along a state highway. Your battery suddenly hits 20% and you have about 70 miles of range. Your in-dash navigation finds one charger and it's about 47 miles away. When you arrive, you find that it's broken and the next closest is 30 miles away. Now you begin to weigh your options. Can you use a dealership level 2 charger in the next town over? Could you hypermile 77 miles out of 70 miles of range? You begin to question why you even bought an electric vehicle in the first place. See, this is not a hypothetical. This is a real failure mode for EV drivers every year. And it's one of the top reasons people still won't buy electric. Here's the scale of the problem. The US has somewhere around 284,000 public EV charging ports as of right now. But the vast majority of those are level 2, the slow kind you'd find at a hotel and use overnight. Now, DC fast chargers, those are the ones that actually work for road trips, and they're concentrated almost exclusively along major metro corridors. If you live in a city, you might not feel this gap. If you live anywhere else, you feel it every time you consider buying an EV and talk yourself out of it. Or if a friend asks you about an EV and you end up talking them out of it accidentally. But a company you probably frequent is making moves to fix this. Today, we're breaking down 3 reasons why Walmart EV Charging's network might actually be the one that changes things. Now, Walmart isn't new to any of this. As of early 2026, the company already had around 1,300 fast charging stations across 280 stores with partners like Electrify America and EVgo. Now, Walmart's wholesale partner, Sam's Club, they even got in on the fun, and they have around 20 of their own locations. But their plan announced a few years ago is a different scale entirely. We're talking about thousands of locations by 2030 using 400 kilowatt DC fast chargers, some of the fastest hardware available. Now, here's what makes Walmart different from every other player in this space. They're not building a charging network just from scratch. They're layering it on top of a retail infrastructure that already sits within 10 miles of 90% of Americans. That context is what makes the 3 strengths we're covering today actually matter. And just to set expectations here, this isn't a sponsored video. Walmart hasn't paid anyone to say anything nice here. This is a breakdown of a real infrastructure strategy, and we'll also be honest about where the question marks are. This channel is dedicated to tracking the rollout of Walmart EV charging across the country. See, I live in Bentonville, Arkansas, and I have been a lifelong Arkansan. I am proud to share that out of my home state, charging at retail locations is evolving into retail charging with Walmart. Let's take a look at 3 of the strengths of this strategy. Let's start with the one that sounds obvious, but is a bigger deal than it looks. When you pull into a Walmart to charge, you're not just waiting. You're in a Supercenter, a neighborhood market, maybe a Sam's Club. You can grab groceries, you can get a coffee, you can use a real bathroom, you can pick up something you forgot, you can grab a snack. At 400 kilowatts, a meaningful charge takes 20 to 40 minutes depending on your car and the state of charge and quite a few variables. But see, that's dead time at a standalone charging station. At Walmart, that's a grocery run because as of 2025, the average amount of time a customer spends in a Walmart location is just under 32 minutes. The company put it plainly in their announcement, quote, "We can offer customers the convenience of being able to pick up essentials for their families or grab a bite to eat while they charge." Now compare that to the current reality of the rest of the EV charging market. Tesla's supercharging network, yeah, it's the gold standard for reliability. There's no doubt about that. But the vast majority of those stalls are in parking lots with nothing around them. You're sitting in your car watching a progress bar. Electrify America, it has been dogged by a reliability issue since it launched. Now, they've been working on it, but it might be too little too late for them. A 2023 J.D. Power study found that EV drivers encountered non-working charging equipment nearly 20% of the time they made visits to public fast chargers. 20%. That is 1 out of every 5 visits. That's not a minor inconvenience, that's a trust problem. Walmart's bet is that the waiting problem isn't solved by fast chargers alone. It's solved by making the waiting time useful and enhancing reliability. They do this by building a charging experience inside an environment people already trust and visit weekly. Think about that last part. The average American visits a Walmart about once every 2 weeks. This isn't a destination they need to be convinced to go visit. It's already part of their routine. Charging becomes something you do while you're already there, not a separate errand you have to plan around. For a lot of drivers, especially those without home charging, like apartment dwellers, people with older homes that really can't support a level 2 charger, that shift in framing is the difference between EV ownership feeling like a logistical headache and something that actually enhances their livelihood. So let's take a look at what Spencer, a friend of this channel in Fort Worth, Texas, who drives a Tesla, experienced when retail charging became an option for him.
Hey, so I wanted to just briefly share why I, as a Tesla owner, will sometimes come to a Walmart Energy charger instead of a Tesla Supercharger. Today I started at 80%. I've been out and about running errands. I went to Dallas, which is maybe 40 miles from me, came back, dropped my dad off, just all around the city today. And honestly, I'm down to about 10%. I needed to get some wrapping paper and a couple of other things before I continue my evening. And I could have gone to a Tesla Supercharger, but it would have been out of the way and added an extra stop. And instead, I needed to come to Walmart to get some wrapping paper and a birthday card. So I was already going to go here, and there's a charger, a great charger, Alpitronic HYC 400. Sure, it's maybe a little bit more expensive than the closest supercharger, but for me, it's well worth it as it's not an extra stop. So I was able to go in, grab my supplies, come out, and now I'm charged enough to continue on my day. So Walmart Energy, don't sleep on them. Even as a Tesla driver, great chargers with native NACS handles. So you don't need any adapter or anything crazy. Just download the Walmart app, scan the QR code to get started, and you're off to the races.
Thank you, Spencer, for sharing that real use case scenario that you experienced. I myself have also enjoyed using the Walmart EV charging network. I have been a regular charger at Supercenter 4108 in Springdale, Arkansas for almost 2 years now, including its days as a beta testing site. Now, it's a full site, and I think it's a model for all of retail charging. If you would like to see my recent visit there, I'll have the video ready for you at the end of this one. Plus, I am tracking the nationwide rollout so that you don't have to. I will have a new update for construction, permits, and even some network evolution coming out next week. So get subscribed if you want to see the incredible progress of Walmart EV charging. Here's where Walmart's footprint becomes something genuinely hard to compete with. Walmart has over 4,600 stores in the US. A large portion of those are in small towns and rural communities, exactly the places where EV charging infrastructure barely exists. We call these charging deserts, and they're one of the main reasons that EV adoption has stalled outside of the major metro areas. If you live in rural Arkansas, central Nebraska, or the Mississippi Delta, the nearest DC fast charger might be an hour away. See, that's not range anxiety. That's a real barrier to owning an EV. And no amount of urban supercharger density solves it. Walmart's plan directly addresses this because they're placing chargers at existing store locations, not building new sites from scratch. They can reach markets that would never attract a standalone charging company. The unit economics don't work for ChargePoint or Electrify America to build in a town of 8,000 people. A standalone fast charger site needs enough throughput, or enough cars charging enough hours per day, to justify the construction equipment and land costs. In a small rural town, that math almost never works. But Walmart already has a store there. The infrastructure cost is marginal compared to a greenfield build. The customers are already walking in, and the parking lot, it already exists. The 2024 solar eclipse gave a painful preview of what happens when EV demand suddenly spikes in a rural corridor with no charging. Drivers following the eclipse path, which was like right over there, through parts of the Mid-South and South found themselves stranded or waiting in long lines at the few chargers that existed. That story went national, and it was embarrassing for the industry and clarifying for anyone watching. The gap between where chargers exist and where people actually go is enormous. Now, admittedly, we have not seen Walmart EV charging build in the most rural of rural areas just yet. There is one area, southeast Oklahoma, where they have built 2 8-stall locations, and they are gorgeous. And as I kept asking myself, why there? It finally hit me. I had just taken a road trip in 2025 from Bentonville, Arkansas to Dallas-Fort Worth. In fact, it's right up there. The 2 rural locations that Walmart EV Charging has built in Chakota and McAlester, Oklahoma, are along that route. Plenty of corporate Walmart associates drive between those 2 locations, between Walmart and Sam's Club, who have their home offices in Bentonville, while Dallas-Fort Worth is one of, if not the largest markets for Walmart. The density of stores in DFW is insane. It makes sense that they would want to offer EV charging as fast as possible for their associates making that drive routinely and also drive EVs. The manager of retail EV charging for Walmart, Tyler Baumgartner, basically confirmed what I thought to be true when he made this post on LinkedIn sharing that this route was now available to everyone driving EVs and that Walmart EV charging made it a breeze. Again, you can check out this video up here where I drove that route prior to Walmart EV charging's expansion, and I was forced to use a Flying J location in Chakota. That charging station has now been offline for months. And in McAlester, I only found a Francis Energy location that made Methuselah look like a spring chicken. I agree with Tyler. The nerves of that route are gone. As this anecdote demonstrates, Walmart's geographic footprint is the closest thing the market has to a real solution to that gap. No other company has 4,600 locations distributed across the full range of American communities: urban, suburban, and rural. And if after this video you still have questions, feel free to drop them in the comments and I will do my best to answer every single one of them. Or tune in to Coast EVs on Wednesday, April 15th, as I will once again join Steve, Eric, and Walter to discuss and share the progress of Walmart EV charging. That will be on the Plug and Play EV YouTube channel, and I hope you can join us then. The third strength is less visible, but arguably the most important for long-term reliability. The way Walmart is designing these sites is to grow, but more importantly, how the network itself is designed to grow. See, Walmart EV Charging has said that each site is built with responsible growth in mind. If utilization rises, meaning drivers are waiting for stalls, Walmart can add more chargers without rebuilding the site from scratch. I've seen that with my own eyes as their blueprints show additional circuit breakers in the charging station switchgear that are awaiting connection. Walmart EV Charging is clearly monitoring utilization data in real time so that they know exactly when and where to scale up. This matters more than it might sound. One of the consistent failure modes of existing charging networks is that they were sized for today's EV population, not tomorrow's. When Tesla opened new supercharger locations a few years ago, they were often undersized for the demand that came with it. Holiday weekend lines at popular supercharger stops, they became a meme, and then they became a legitimate complaint. Now, that network has improved, but the core problem is still a design one. You have to predict demand before you build. And if you guess low, too late, you've already poured the concrete. See, Walmart's approach flips that. By designing sites with electrical infrastructure that can support more stalls and physically laying out the parking lot to accommodate expansion, they're building optionality in from day one. They're not committing to a fixed number of stalls per site. They're committing to a site that can grow as the EV market grows. Walmart EV Charging has confirmed that each site's stall count will depend on a local EV market's conditions. and they will add capacity wherever utilization data shows that it's needed. But even more importantly, Walmart's national footprint can allow for network expansion without piling every EV driver needing a charge into one parking lot. For example, there are over 140 Walmart Supercenters and neighborhood markets in the DFW Metroplex. Chances are pretty good in the high population density cities like Fort Worth, Arlington, Frisco, Euless, the list goes on. Walmart can add an entirely new charging location within a handful of miles, and now they've spread out that utilization. They've also selected Alpitronic and ABB as their hardware suppliers. These are two of the most respected names in DC fast charging. And they are utilizing these two charging vendors while staying brand agnostic. The experience through the Walmart app stays consistent regardless of which hardware you're plugging into. See, that matters operationally. As hardware technology improves over the next 5 years, Walmart isn't locked into one vendor's roadmap. That kind of thinking, designed for demand, not just for today, and keeping your options open, is what separates a network built to last from one that becomes a cautionary tale in 2028. So, amenities that make the site useful, geographic reach that finally covers rural America, and site design built to handle real-world demand. 3 strengths from a company most people still think of as a place to buy paper towels. None of this means Walmart has it totally figured out. There are real questions. Can they hit thousands of locations by 2030 while managing construction timelines, permitting, and grid connection delays, all of which have slowed other networks down? Will pricing be competitive, or does the retail integration merit a premium? And will the Walmart app experience actually hold up when millions of drivers are depending on it? See, these are fair questions, and we have some positive answers and outlooks already in the infancy of this network. But here's what's hard to dispute. The strategy is structurally sound in a way that most charging network plays haven't been. They're not trying to build a new destination. They're building on top of one that already exists. They're not guessing at where demand will come from. They're following 90% of the American population. And they're not locking themselves into a fixed infrastructure that can't adapt. Whether Walmart executes on all this by 2030 is a legitimate open question. But the foundation is there, and it's there in a way that isn't for most of the competition. If you want to keep following how this plays out, subscribe. I cover EV infrastructure and the industry shifts that actually matter. And drop a comment below. Do you think Walmart can actually pull this off, or is this a little ambitious? I read every one of the comments, and this is a topic worth exploring. Remember, my next update of the network's progress will be next week. I'm Landon. Thank you for watching, and happy trails.